Ha! Looks like we're rolling good tonight. You know? Hello, 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 hello. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Dude, yes. Let's get Facebook up on it. Damn lip split. I tell you, that hurts more than anything in the world. Oh, yeah. Connect up. Here we go. Is that the right one? I think it is. I guess we'll make sure. Yes, 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 yes. So, you know what I'm saying? I would like to say welcome, you know what I'm saying, to 1438 North Ninth, the podcast, you know what I'm saying? And I am your voice of choice, you know what I'm saying? The host with the most, you know what I'm saying? Conversation, but my friends call me like a coach. You know what I mean? I would just like to say what's up, you know? Most definitely, And what we getting unholy again. I'm telling you, I don't know if I got the memo that Black History Month was only for February. Because I'm black 365 days of the year. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie, love it to death. It is, what it ain't, it shall never be, and definitely, it's a hillside production, and definitely today, like I said, I'm staying unholy again. You know what I mean? Most definitely, most definitely. Why am I staying unholy for the second day in a row? Because I just did not get the memo. You know what I mean? It is, what it ain't, it shall never be. You know what I'm saying? When knowledge hits you in the face, it'll come directly at you. You know what I mean? Because you want to know who you are. You want to understand, where you're going and the policies that are put up on you, and things like that. So definitely I would like to say welcome, give y'all a hand and some intro music. You know what I'm saying? Because we definitely, you know what I'm saying? Each one reaches one, teaches one. I'm just not up here to shake your hands, throw some dice, you know what I'm saying? Make it feel good. You know what I mean? Talk about the hard subjects. What subjects are around you? What subjects that you are not doing? You know what I mean? What are you not investing in to make sure that you make it to the next level? You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm staying unholy again for the second day. What does it mean? You know what I mean? To be a man of color, a person of melanin, dark skin, are always walking up, and people having preconceived notions of you. You know what I mean? What does it mean? You know what I mean? When you step into a room and all the air leaves the room, you know what I'm saying? Because you're special, you're interesting, you are who you are. I am a man. I am to be recognized as one. I'm a black man telling the black man's story, you know what I'm saying? Coming right at you, you know what I'm saying? And I would just like to say, welcome, welcome, welcome. And like I said, this the Unholy, the Slave Survival. The author is David Charles Mills. For every 3 episodes that I do, I always do an interlude from authors you won't always know about. You know what I mean? Authors that are often overlooked, black authors. You know what I'm saying? Just like that, black authors. Just like that, you know what I'm saying? You give them a round of applause. And of course, knowledge is power. And for this voting people, please, for all you people that didn't vote, get out there and vote. You know what I mean? Your vote does count. You know what I'm saying? Just like that, your vote does count. And whatever you choose to vote on, use the power to vote, because not voting is just as simply as saying you don't care about who make the rules around you. You don't care about who make the taxes on your finances. You don't care about if your roadways are fixed or if you're safe in your own community or not. You know what I'm saying? You don't care about what's really going on around you. So I tell you, use the power to vote. Get up out there. You know what I'm saying? Rock your vote, hip hop your vote. Use your power. You know what I mean? Show your consensus. You know what I mean? So the things and the power structures can change. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, and let that hit you in the head just like that, or let it just like that, a gunshot, poof. So let's get into it, And like I said, this book is by David Charles Mills, and looking back, number one, but looking forward to end notes on page 506 and bibliography. But let's go back up in here, you know. So I definitely want to read about the art cover. You know what I mean? And it says about the art cover, Mr. Maurice Smith. Mr. Maurice, let me get this right. Yeah, me and this thing. We done worked out an agreement. It shall do what it's supposed to do. Yes, definitely, definitely, definitely. Cool. So this is talking about the art cover. Mr. Maurice Smith is the cover artist. The artwork, A Living Hell, depicts slavery in chronological orders. The Africans made into slaves were carried across the sea in hulls of ships. Slaves were beaten, shackled, weighed, sold, and murdered. Slavery was wrapped around religion and legalized by the state. The elements depicted here are the symbols of the machinery of that living hell. Nevertheless, they endured, survived, and prospered. This history, knowledge, and unflagging spirit shines through. Mr. Maurice has been drawing since age 6. He is a 26-year-old Nas. He is a Mr. Maurice Smith has been drawing since age 6. He is a 26-year-old Nashville. He is a 26-year-old Nashville native studying at Nashville State Technical School. Mr. Smith is the owner of Shadow Jester Arts. He says, "Special appreciation goes to my Savior. Without without God, none of this would have been possible. Special thanks to everyone who has kept me in their prayers, especially my parents." Mr. Curtis Smith and Miss Nicole Smith, Professor Ted Krause, and Miss Stephanie Bell, and a special thanks to Mr. Mill for about the opportunity, you know. And when you look at it, you know, and that's talking about the cover, you know what I mean? So Mr. Maurice Smith drew the cover, just like that. Give him that right there. So yes, 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 yes. Like I said, I'm getting unholy again. I didn't get the memo. That's where you get these cups. Ah, they give you what you want, but damn, ah, gotta get it open. Use them damn muscle. Mm. A Tempico will beat you down. Okay, so um so I'm gonna give you the introduction. An Unholy Bible. How can this be? Unholy was published in 1808. It was printed by Law and Gilbert, located in St. John's Square, Clerkenwell, London, England. Unholy is based on the King James Version of the Holy Bible. It is astounding what was kept and what was left out of Unholy. Unholy contains all or parts of 14 books in the Old Testament. The New Testament has all or 18 parts of 18 books, two of which are complete. 34 books from the King James Version of the Holy Bible are not found in Unholy. The British slave system was quite unique. The British slave trade industry had three phases: slave raiding and trading, slave breaking and making, and slave labor and slavery. Whew, okay, I got to read that again. That took my breath away. The British slave trade industry had three phases: slave raiding. Ooh, let me go back. The British slave industry had three phases: slave raiding and trading, slave breaking and making, and slave labor and slavery. Unholy was planned, published, and used as a tool in the slave breaking and making process. What famed historian Dr. John Hope Franklin called seasoning in the islands. Unholy is a key. Unholy is a key, an essential ingredient, a critical missing link in our knowledge, understanding, and insight into the culture of slavery from the 15th through the late 19th centuries. Its impact on faith, ethics, images, values, beliefs, principles, race, religion, history, law, public policy, psychology, and sociology, as well as the rules, regulations, traditions, and culture of modern civilization cannot be underestimated. Unholy may prove to be one of the most important historical documents in Western civilization. There are several reasons for its republication today. For everyday people of faith, especially Christians, let me say that again. For everyday people of faith, especially Christians, make great hope is that Unholy will provide new opportunities to evaluate and appreciate how the word was used to make what is sacred and holy into something unholy and profane by changing the word of God. For students and scholars, it may expand existing research fields as well as open new ones that shed light on the crises, challenges, and controversies and trials and tests and tribulations of the word. Let me give that to you. Let me give that to you again. For students and scholars, it may expand existing research fields as well as open new ones that shed light on the crises, challenges, and controversies and trials, tests, and tribulations of the word. The word during its long journey. For Western civilization, especially African Americans, may dream my dream is that Unholy is another revelation in our long journey from freedom through slavery to freedom. Unholy may help free our minds, hearts, souls, and spirits from the shackles placed in our brains during more than 500 years of slavery, racism, segregation, degradation, discrimination, and humiliation. Has religion ever known any greater heresy than unholy? David Charles Mills, April 4th, 2009. Hmm. So we go. And this is the comparative tables from the chapters that Unholy had in it. It was the chapters of the Old Testament, King James Version. Then when you see in this column right here, the third column was the chapters that chose to be in Unholy. So I hope you can see that, you know? And not only, like I said, this is called, the name of this book is Unholy, the Slave's Bible by David Charles Mills. And if you want to get it and research it yourself, that's why, I am just, a conductor. I'm gonna lead you to the water, but it's up to you to drink it. You know what I mean? And I would like to say, for everybody that's on the channel right now, I would like to say, welcome to 1438 North Night, the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And I am your voice of choice, the one and only conversation. You know what I'm saying? But my friends call me Michael Coates. You know what I'm saying? It's a hillside production, baby. Let me read to you, you know? And like I said, tell your mama, tell your sister, tell a friend that the story did begin. You know what I mean? And if you look up there right there, you see that little thing right there? That's called sending that man some stars. Let that man rise. You know what I'm saying? I want to say what's up to my girl Paritha. You know what I mean? It's a pleasure to see you on here while I read Unholy, the Slave's Bible. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I read that yesterday. Boom, down, boom. So we go, okay, cool. We get into okay, boom. I'm getting past the introduction because the introductions, I read part of it. Okay, cool. Okay, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So, I'm gonna go through instead of this is still an introduction, and what I'm reading to you is the shaping of the minds. You know what I mean, of the academicians, of the academicians. You know what I mean, and that is one hell of a word that I learned. You know, academicians, and it's amazing the collegiate level of words that are in here that and all the tantalizing to my brain. You know what I mean? And I would like to say, you know, if can you hear that on Facebook? Can you hear that music? You know what I mean? Because I am running a slow connection, you know, on my Facebook connection. You know, I hate to say that, but I really am. You know, boom, cool. So what I'm reading to you is the shape of the minds of the scholars and the politicians at this particular time, you know, in the 1600s and 1700s, you know, to give you a shaping of the spirit, you know, um, which, you know, ultimately led, this is slavery within its finest form. Like I said, it had three phases to it, and I didn't understand that. You know, so the deeper I get into, you know, my knowledge of life, I get into myself. You know, like I said, I did my DNA 23. You know, I'm 66% Nigerian. So never did I know when I was growing up I was 66% Nigerian. You know what I mean? But now that I know, each one reaches one, teaches one, and that's one to grow on. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. If you grew up in the time that I grew up, and it is what it is, what it ain't, it shall never be. You know, and I must say, you know, as I explore life and keep finding so many different mediums and so many hidden truths about the concept of what it means to be myself. You know, it's truly amazing. It's truly amazing. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm a Gen X cross generational Gen X cross generational specialist. You know what I'm saying? Street talking motivational speaker. Except when I put that, you know, that knowledge out there, I'm gonna give you a base to, you know, to go get it from. You know what I mean? Definitely. And I'm getting unholy again. So I'm reading it to you about the shaping of the attitude of the academicians and the scholars at the time and the politicians, you know, which, you know, labored to make it legal, you know, to own people as property or chattel, you know what I'm saying, due to having different color of skin and also being due to, you know, lands being raided, you know. And it's amazing because, you know, there were so many phases to it because yesterday, you know, I seen this one, it's on YouTube. It's called Econo Tour Ghana. Tour of Ghana. Ghana. You know what I mean? And if you want to look at it, you know what I'm saying? It's called Tour of Ghana. You know what I'm saying? And for everybody that just joined, I would like to say, welcome. I'm getting unholy again, you know, and I'm reading about the shaping of the minds, you know, of the academicians and the scholars of the era, you know, you know, who push to have races, you know, and people studied, you know, and to be viewed and perceived as lesser than, you know, so the atrocities that they, you know, that the colonizers imposed upon our culture, that they were good and they felt that they were moral and just, and they justified it with the Bible. So I'm getting unholy again, and I'm reading about the shaping of it, you know. So let's go here, you know. So Dr. David Charles Mills is talking about how he went to college and he got into this. So okay, cool. So here we go. So I'm reading. He's in college. Dr. and Mrs. Raymond Thelma Richardson let me stay in their home during my transition from Knoxville to Nashville. Boom. Let me get that right. Maybe. Okay. Okay. Dr. and Mrs. Raymond Thelma Richardson. Whoa. Oh, that was a fail. Well, it's on a pivot point. That's on a pivot point. Okay, cool. So let's get this in. There we go. Gotta keep the light on the subject and the situation. Okay, cool. So, Doctor. Okay, so Doctor and Mrs. Raymond Thelma Richardson let me stay in their home during my transition from Knoxville to Nashville. Mrs. Richardson is a fabulous cook and makes the best fried corn in the world. Ray Jr. became my best friend. Every day we had great debates. Ray Jr. worked at the. Ow, damn it. Ray Jr. worked. Da- 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 Ray Jr. became my best friend. Every day we had great debates. Ray Jr. worked in the 7-Eleven store on the corner of Jefferson and 28 near the TSU Mahari Medical College and Fisk University. We found brilliantly beautiful writing. We would find each other to share the word. Nashville, Tennessee is called the Athens of the South and Music City from here. The Fisk University Jubilee Singers gave America its first original art form, the sorrow songs, better known as the spirituals. There are more colleges, millionaires, and hospitals in Nashville per capita than any city in America. Nashville is also the seat of state government. My arrival in Nashville in the fall of 1983 coincided with a high watermark of public higher education litigation in Tennessee. At UT, Mr. Marvin Peake encouraged me to research and write about this subject. The result of this paper was entitled The Desegregation of Public Higher Education in Tennessee. The paper was presented at the annual meetings of both the association, the paper was presented at the annual meetings of both the Association of Social and Behavioral Scientists and the National Council for Black Studies. It more than prepared me for the next stage of my journey. Mr. Tony Spratlin was president of the TSU Student Government Association several years earlier. United States Judge Thomas Gray had ordered the University of Tennessee merged into TSU. This unprecedented action grew out of a 1968 lawsuit filed by Miss Rita Sanders, later Miss Rita Sanders Jeer, and others to stop the expansion of UTN at the expense of TSU. In 1979, Judge Gray ordered the merger of UTN into TSU to end the dual system of higher education in Tennessee. In 1983, the United States District Court for Middle Tennessee issued a stipulation of settlement in the case. President Spatlin asked me to speak on the subject to the student body after reciting the UT's history since 1794 on the subject of the student body. After reciting the UT's history since 1794, including emergence of the Nashville campus in 1947, the students were ready to try advancing and protecting their interests. My role was to continue researching the subject and keep the student body informed. Boom. The records from the Jarrett case fill an entire room. My steps led to a file cabinet of documents. One of those documents revealed a motion filed for leave to intervene by the original plaintiffs and an answer to motion by the same attorney. Incensed and outraged by this seeming incongruity, this information was shared with a number of interested parties. At this point, my goal was to shed light on this with the rest of the public. After holding a press conference to illuminate the matter, disaster struck. Okay, I'll take that back. So I'm taking you through, okay, cool. I took you through his college. So now, he's studying and he done got so deep into it that, okay, cool. So the president told Mr. Johns his application had been rejected because he did not have enough credit. So what was his business? Mr. Johns said something to the effect of, Mr. President, do you want men with credits or men with brains? The president handed Mr. Johns a book of Hebrew, which he read. Mr. Johns was given a book of Greek, which he also read. The president admitted Mr. Johns on the spot by the end of his first semester at Oberlin. Mr. Johns was a top scholar at Oberlin. On learning of Mr. Johns' achievement, the young man he replaced as top student accused him of cheating, saying that no Negro could be that smart. They had a fight. They became lifelong friends. Back to my story. Though through the Old Testaments for thousands of years, prophecies and predictions spoke of a Messiah who would be a savior. conqueror, king, leader, prophet, and martyr. The word of God made flesh this Messiah. Okay, so they're talking about the creation of the entity. Now, with the creation of the entity in 1794, we're going to go back to Augustus Caesar was emperor of Rome when Jesus Christ was born. Tiberius was emperor when Jesus Christ was crucified. The Roman Empire stretched from modern day England to Turkey, including North Africa. In Western civilization, the life of Jesus Christ split into BC, before Christ, and AD, Anno Domini, or year of our Lord, indicating his arrival. In Gibbon's The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, he writes, the new sect of Christians was almost entirely composed of the dregs of the populace, of peasants and mechanics, of boys and women, of beggars and slaves, the last of whom might sometimes introduce the missionaries into the rich and noble families to which they belonged. Now, did you get that? In Rome, the Jewish people were considered a nation within a nation. Christian was viewed as a cult or a sect. Gentiles were anyone not Jewish. Judaism is an ancient faith. Since Christianity is an extension, outgrowth, or continuation of Judaism, Judaism, a decisive moment occurs in a critical dispute over who can receive the faith. In Caesarea, a city named for Caesar, lived a man named Cornelius. Cornelius was a centurion, a professional officer in the Roman army with the command over many men. Cornelius was a just, devout, and man whose entire house feared God. He was always prayerful and supported the poor. Scripture records that the Lord answered Cornelius' prayer. Cornelius sent his man to Joppa to find Simon Peter, an apostle of Jesus. Peter goes to Cornelius' house, and as a result of his experience, says, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. The Gentiles receive Christianity. You know what I'm saying? And I would like to say, welcome to everybody that's on the page right now. You know what I mean? And definitely, what am I doing? I done got unholy again, and I told you about that. I just didn't get the memo that Black History Month was relegated to 1 month because I live it every day. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. What it ain't shall never be. I would like to say welcome, everybody. If you're just now joining me, welcome to 1438 North Night, the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And I am the voice of choice, the man with the gold tone. You know what I'm saying? The man with the gold microphone. You know what I'm saying? Call me, conversation. I'm going to say click, click. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Big H2, we ride. And thank God it's February. People go put your motorcycles back up. Put your motorcycles back up. It's not hot enough. It's not hot enough. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody out there to get some, like my man Blade always say. Let's rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? Tell your mama, tell your sister, tell a friend that what am I doing? I'm getting unholy. I'm reading from the Slave's Bible. You know what I mean? And how, a culture, a system, a psychology, a sociology, a total effect, that still resounds to this day within the annals of all our thinking. When we see police, we tense up, for the things that they doing to us. You know what I mean? When we see a group of people that we think that want some smoke, you know what I'm saying? We're ready to give it to them just, because of the way America has shaped itself, the way America tell, other cultures that, hey, we could do this and we could do that to this culture. You know what I'm saying? You cannot, you know what I'm saying? I want to give a big shout out to everybody else out there. I'm still unholy today. It is, what it ain't shall never be. Damn, boy, I got to boy, you can tell them that's hurt. Good evening to everybody that's out there. It's a pleasure to have y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading from David Charles Mills, Unholy, the Holy Bible. So Christianity was broken into two, you know what I'm saying? And it's still a form of Judaism, and, definitely, because no matter what church you go to, everybody be like, well, he can't receive the word because he ain't doing this. She can't receive the word because she not wearing that. You know what I mean? It breaks down into sex, and I mean, SECTS, sex. So if you don't hear the C, there's a T and an S and not an X, so boom. So I'm gonna jump over here, but we still back in the times of BC. That's what we're talking about, and AD. You know what I mean? So in Gibbons is an author, The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, he writes, the new sect of Christians was almost entirely composed of the dregs and the dregs of the populace, of peasants and mechanics, of boys and women, of beggars and slaves, the last to whom might sometimes introduce the missionaries into the rich and noble families to which they belong. In Rome, the Jewish people were considered a nation within a nation. Christians were viewed as a cult or a sect. Gentiles were among anyone not Jewish. Judaism is an ancient faith. Since Christianity is an extension, outgrowth, or continuation of Judaism, a decisive moment occurs in a critical dispute over who can receive the faith and who cannot receive the faith, over who can receive the faith, over who cannot receive the faith. Because people will tell you in a minute, oh, your heart ain't pure. You're not open to the Lord. You're not open to the faith. You don't believe. You know what I mean? So believe me, I've heard that before. You know, boom. So when other heard that Gentiles had become Christians, there was disagreement over whether Gentiles could receive the faith. When others heard that Gentiles had become Christians, there was a disagreement over whether Gentiles could receive the faith. Let's get it to this damn thing. Okay. Over who could receive the faith. Judaism holds circumcision of all males' children as a requirement of the faith. You know what I mean? This was a central issue between Christians and Jews. A council was called at Jerusalem, where James, the brother of Jesus, was bishop. The matter was settled in Jerusalem in favor of the Gentiles. Christianity began growing beyond its historic bounds. As Christianity grew, its members were not safe in the Roman Empire. This, however, is nothing new to the hires of this legacy. Man, I swear, do not buy that Tampico juice. Whew, I ain't had that in years. That Tampico, you will bang it. Man, I tell you, it's like drinking a bomb pop, old school bomb pop, the big ones. Like I said, as Christianity grew, its members were not safe in the Roman Empire. This, however, is nothing new to the hires of this legacy. Okay. History's most legendary sheep herder, harp player, giant slayer, adulterer, and murderer was named David. David was crowned king of Israel in Hebron around 1000 BC. This man, after God's own heart, made Jerusalem his capital long before Jesus Christ was born. King David's great dream was to build a house for the Lord. His son, King Solomon, built the famed temple. The Babylonians, under the king, who Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonians under King Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the temple around 600 BC. Around 63 BC, Roman Emperor Pompey conquered Jerusalem and cut the throats of the priests at the temple altar. Emperor Caligula, 37 through 41, Anno Domino, demanded his statue be placed in the temple at Jerusalem so he could be worshipped as God. Several years later, in 70 Anno Domini, war broke out between the Romans and the Jews. Roman emperors Titus and Vespasian destroyed Jerusalem, the Second Temple. Ancient eyewitnesses, historian Josephus recorded the horror of Jerusalem's destruction by Titus and Vespasian. and it went as such and as follows. And what I'm reading to you is how the academicians, the politicians of that particular time in 1724, 1635, 775 AD, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord, and 600 BC before Christ. So I'm just describing the thought process and the mind culture of that particular time. You know what I mean? So, and we are reading Unholy, you know what I'm saying? And I am reading Unholy, the Slave's Bible by David Charles Mills. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. What it ain't, it shall never be. You know? Let us continue. And it was recorded by an ancient eyewitness historian, Josephus, and he recorded the horrors of Jerusalem destruction by Titus and the Vespasian, yeah, by Titus and Vespasian. Those who perished in the long siege totaled 1 million. Every man who showed himself was either killed or captured by the Romans. And then in those in the sewers were ferreted out. The ground was torn up, and all who were trapped were killed. There were two found. The bodies of more than there were two there. There too were found the bodies of more than 2,000, some killed by their own hand, some by another's, but most by starvation. So foul a stench of human flesh greeted those who charged in that many turned back at once. Others were too avaricious. That is avaricious. Oh, okay. Others were so avaricious. There we go. Others were so avaricious that they pushed on, climbing over piles of corpse. For many valuables were found in the passages, and all scruples were silenced by the prospect of gain. The Romans now fired that. The Romans now fired the outlying districts of the town and demolished the walls. So fell Jerusalem in the second war of Vespasian's reign on the 8th September, captured 5 times before, and now for the second time lay utter waste. The Romans built the Arch of Titus to commemorate this event. The arch still stands today. It will be about 1,877 years before the Jewish people returned to rule Israel in 1947. Just as Judaism was persecuted, so was Christianity. Nevertheless, Christianity was on the move. So we keep moving and we pushing on. So what I'm discouraged, so I'm gonna push all the way forward, and we're gonna go to the Prophet Muhammad. You know what I mean? In 570 to 630 AD is the founder of Islam. Islam means submission or complete surrender to the will of God. A Muslim is one who surrenders to the will of God. Islam has worked its way across the world from the 7th century today. Islam, up, Islam uprooted Christianity in many places and took control in some Judaic Christian strongholds in Western civilization. For more than 700 years, the Moors controlled part of Spain, Portugal, and France. Dr. Chancellor Williams tells us that, like the original Egyptians and Sumerians, the Moors who dominated the Iberian Peninsula during this period were Black Africans. The Moors who dominated the Iberian Peninsula during this period were Black Africans. There are additional major events that occurred in the wake of the rise of Islam. None is more important than the continued growth of the faith. None is more important than the continued growth of the faith, changes in technology, and emergence of science. So we're going to push it forward, and we're going to come into 1934. In 1934, Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. went to become World Baptist Congress in Berlin, Germany. His profound appreciation for the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Sr. caused him to change his name to his son name, whom his first name Michael, to Martin Luther King Sr. and Martin Luther King Jr. It is easier to appreciate this given how Dr. Martin Luther transformed the course of the rest of civilization. Some context and perspective may be helpful. So I'm going to take you back a little. So when Alaric entered Rome in the 5th century, it had been 619 years since a foreign army invaded the city streets of eternal Rome. Many historians call the next 1,000 years the Dark Ages of Western civilization. Islam was exceedingly strong and preeminent during this period as places began to come out of the clutch of the bubonic plague, otherwise known as the Black Death because of the black spots it put on the skin. The bubonic plague killed around 30 million people in Europe. Boccaccio, Boccaccio, Boccaccio wrote the plague was so bad that the people ate lunch with their friends and dinner with their ancestors in paradise. Nevertheless, Europe's emerging nationalism grew out of these dark ages. Parts of Europe arose from control, influence, or domination by the Moors. Slavery was making new wealth and opportunity. The Italian Renaissance was already going full tilt. So I'm gonna push forward, and we're gonna talk about the academics, and this is where Galileo put his input. Galileo was not simply charged with offending humanity, but blaspheming God. Dr. William Edward Burghardt Du Bois tells us that blasphemy, heresy, transgression of the dogma of the Catholic Church were serious things in the 16th century. They meant disgrace, poverty, persecution, and death if no one improved. For his alleged sins, Galileo was run out of the University of Pisa. He went to the University of Padua. From there, Galileo went to Florence, seat of the Renaissance. As Galileo's fame spread, so did the ignorance, hatred, selfishness, greed, and jealousy that led him to commit a crime to save his life. In 1634, Galileo summoned before the Holy Office, known today as the Inquisition. After spending 50 years trying to explain his work, Galileo finally said, I, Galileo Galilei, of the age of 70, being on my knees in the presence of you, most eminent and most reverend Lord Cardinals of the Universal Christian Commonwealth, having before my eyes the Holy Gospels, on which I now lay my hands, swear that I have always believed and now believe, and God helping, that I shall for the future always believe whatever the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Roman Church holds, preaches, and teaches. But because this holy office has enjoined me by precept entirely to relinquish the false dogma which maintains that the sun is the center of the world and immovable, and that the earth is not the center and moves not to hold, defend, or to teach by any means, or by writing the aforesaid false doctrine. Therefore, being willing to take out of the minds of your eminences and every Catholic Christian this vehement suspicion of right conceived against me, I, with sincere heart and faith, unfeigned, abjure, excrete, and detest the aforesaid errors and heresies, and generally every sect contrary to the above holy church. And I swear that I will never more hereafter say or assert by speech or writing anything through which the like suspicion may be had of me. But if I shall know anyone heretical or suspected of heresy, I will denounce him to this holy office or to the inquisitor and ordinary of the place in which I shall be. I moreover swear and promise that I will fulfill and observe entirely all the penitences which have been imposed upon me, or which shall be imposed by this holy office. But if it shall happen that I shall go contrary, with God avert, to any of my words, promises, protests, protestations, and oaths, I subject myself to all the penalties and punishments which by the holy canons and other constitutions, general and particular, have been enacted and promulgated against such delinquents. So help me God and his gospel and his holy gospels, on which I now lay my hand. Galileo denied his own conviction, beliefs, and scientific findings in an effort to save his life from the hands of the church. Galileo's lie kept him alive, yet Galileo's confession led to 9 years of imprisonment and torture before he died. On another stage, England was preparing for its role in modern slavery. Let me give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you, right? Mm, so before they put Galileo country ass to hard work, you know what I'm saying? They made sure, they made sure he felt the pain. And if you're just now joining me, I would like to say welcome to 1438 North Night, the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And I am your voice of choice. They call me Michael Coates, baby, but conversation is up here. This is a Hillside production. You know what I'm saying? And my brother Brian Fitzgerald Coates would like to say, what's up, people? You know what I mean? Most definitely, calling from the other world, from the middle, from that spiritual life. And as I read Unholy, the Slave's Bible, this is meant as an instructional, educational point of view. I am a street talking motivational speaker. And between each of my episodes, I do 3 episodes and I do an interlude. And I am done with the book of life for a minute, the life and lore and folk poetry of the Black Hustler that's located on Holloway House Publishing. You can get that book. It is a hell of a book. It's 1972 production, you know. But this book right here, The Unholy, what I'm saying? It is called Unholy, the Slave's Bible. And the author is David Charles Mills. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the author is David Charles Mills. I'm gonna give it to you just like that. And definitely, and I can hope you that you understand the point. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a leap year. You give me 29 days to be black. Hell, I'm black 24/7, 365. You know what I'm saying? Going on 51, loving it. You know what I'm saying? Everything the best in 73. They ain't doing good before they did it for me. You know what I'm saying? Tell your mama, tell your sister, tell a friend that the story about to begin. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting unholy with it. You know what I mean? And I want to thank everybody out there that has sent this man some stars. You know what I mean? And for those that haven't, send the man some stars. Y'all see that thing right there? That thing up there? Send that man some stars, or it should be down there. And if it's not, and if you're on YouTube, send that man some stars. It's a pleasure to have you all. Thank you for allowing me into your house, into your home. And like I said, tonight I'm getting unholy with it. Unholy, the Slave's Bible. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. And if you want to go get this publication yourself, you can go find it on any major book outlet. Like I said, I'm getting unholy tonight, and I'm talking about, the mindsets of the academicians, and the propagation, you know, of the institution of the British conquerors, and it's amazing. I didn't know it was steps. So hell, you know, I keep learning something new every day in this life, and that's one of the wonderful parts about being alive. That I keep learning daily. What I think I knew, I thought I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And I'd have been humbled. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when I started this, I only just thought I was cleaning out my closet. I just thought I was chilling. I did not realize that it was going to help me grow in so many different ways, you know, in so many different ways. And being the master professional that I am, with the body, I think that there's a certain braggadociousness or certain confidence that go with that. When you're at the top of the food chain, and then I'm going for a certification in another field, and this certification is hard as hell. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody out there that has they CDL, they passenger, they A, they B. That is not no punk. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you everything about repetitions, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely got to start doing some skits, you know what I'm saying? Brother Bowflex up in the hill, you know what I'm saying? And I got to do it like that. Got to have some fun with life, and that just goes to show, AOE, the art of elevation. You know what I'm saying? I'm prepared properly. I got the proper mindset, except for I have to do more information gathering. I have to do more relegation of thoughts because the test is so wide ranging. It's over 2,000 questions. And every time I did the test, what I'm saying, I've come up one or two shorts. And that just tells me that I got to fall back because now I can't take the test for 30 days. So when I go back and take the test on April 1st, I have to pass. You know what I'm saying? And I still don't feel no pressure. And I think that's, because there's a learning process. Anything that's worth having is worth working for, you know, and it ties into what I'm reading with Unholy, the Slave's Bible, because a lot of the teachings that I came up with, I was always taught not to ask for the most, just to be content with what I had, you know what I'm saying? And always, just be like, hey, I'm content with this. What did me and my friends do? My friends and I, we got out there and we took two rocks and we knocked them together, you know what I'm saying? And we created a spark, a spark of interest in our brain, a spark of interest that said we tired of being hungry, a spark of interest that said I'm tired of being cold, a spark of interest that said, okay, I'm gonna go to school during the day, but I'm gonna take this rice and I'm gonna take what they call, cocaine. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take what they call cocaine. I'm gonna put it in the rice nuts and I'm gonna put it in the bag with the rice, then I'm gonna stick it on the side of my nuts and I'm gonna get out there and get it done. You know what I'm saying? 10 doves nubs, you know what I'm saying? Come, give them no, just don't come with no $5 crumbs. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. What it ain't shall never be. And within time, we got our high school diplomas. You know what I'm saying? We stopped having holes in our shoes. We started driving nice cars. We stopped eating, what I'm saying, just bologna sandwiches. Now there was steak and potatoes, you know what I'm saying, where there was nothing, and when the man had peach fuzz on his lip, he had a whip. That's all I'm saying. You know, my friends and I, we went to being bums to being none, you know what I'm saying? Them figures that was about some, you know what I'm saying? Just like that, just like that, you know what I'm saying? Hillside for the day we ride. Let's go, y'all. And so the art of elevation ties into Unholy, the Slave's Bible. So what I'm getting is the mindset, because many of different times I'll be sitting here and going, okay, I'm not doing well. The world is on me. I'm not spending my money right. Oh, I spent $200, on going out 3 or 4 times a month. You should be able to spend $25 on your damn self when you're going out. You know what I mean? You know, Steve Harvey said some good. He said, if you're going to worry about it, don't pray about it. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to pray about it, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a soliloquy that does go. Because a lot of times, even sometimes when I get off here, and I'll be like, damn, I'm giving myself up and being, this. And my niece and another great source that was close to me, they said, you're making yourself being vulnerable. I still don't know what vulnerable is. One thing I do know is that since I started this, the only thing I know is to be true and to be open and honest about who I am, what skeletons I have in my closet, what weaknesses I have, and just to put it the fuck out there. You know what I'm saying? And I get a world a big kiss, because either I'm gonna rise and fall in front of the world, or it's just gonna do what it do. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. What it ain't, it shall never be. And when your teachings are, I hate you, you ain't gonna be, you're not gonna make it far. Just invariable put downs. And if you want to see something that I went through, go and watch the movie Antoine Fisher. Go and watch the movie Antoine Fisher, because that is a true prediction of what I went through growing up. It is a true account, you know what I'm saying, of the things that I went through and the things that I've seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. So definitely check out the movie Antoine Fisher. It is definitely one of the movies that should be a study piece. There are definitely some movies of the day that are definitely good study pieces, and it helps you understand the socio-economic mind. And back in the 80s, welfare was a big thing. You know, and I don't care how they say it. You know, there were more other cultures on welfare than it was in my culture, and I'm not keeping no score. It is what it is. What it ain't shall never be. I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for letting me come into your hearts, your homes, and your mind. You know what I'm saying? My name is, what I'm saying, Michael Coates, but my friends call me Conversation. So, like I said, this is a 1438 North Ninth The podcast. It's a hillside production. I'm a black man telling a black man's story. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. What it ain't shall never be. And we're going to go right into karaoke style right there. I know it sounds a lot different, but it is what it is. So, we're going to go from there, and we're just going to speak about this right here. By 1859, the world from the 15th century forward of Western civilization had more than 400 years with slavery, as slavery created new industry, made people rich, and created new opportunities. Ideas about freedom grew as well. Abolitionist movements were born. The American 1776 and French 1789 revolutions represent the upheaval that happened in these and other societies. What began as a simple transaction grew into a cottage industry, and for there it grew into huge multinational corporations. The British were engaged in slavery from the 16th to the 19th centuries. Before this chapter of human trafficking came to an end around 1895, nations and empires, wars and revolutions, economies and industries, regions and religions would rise and fall. The beliefs, principles, morals, values, law, money, wealth, status, privilege, associations, organizations, and institutions that grew out of and as a result of slavery are firmly entrenched in the culture of Western civilization in the form of the basis of the modern world's economic order. It is against the backdrop that in 1859, Charles Darwin published his famous work on the origin of species by means of natural selection, or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Let me give that to you again. It is against the backdrop that in 1859, Charles Darwin published his famous work on the origin of species by means of natural selection, or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. The term social Darwinism grew out of this work. It is an attempt to apply the principles of natural selection to nations and human beings. Obviously, the British was the most favored race of that time. All one had to do was look at the British Empire. The second book was worth mentioning here also came out of England about 80 years later. And if you're just now joining me, I'm getting Unholy tonight. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading Unholy, the Slave's Bible by David Charles Mills. And that is what I'm eating, just like that. I'm getting Unholy, you know? So you have a point of reference to read and go to, you know? And like I said, I'm a black man telling a black man's story. You know what I'm saying? I'm black 365 days. You know what I'm saying? I love what I'm doing. Each one reaches one, teaches one. You know what I'm saying? Conjunction, junction. What's your function? I'm moving down the line and about to go on the conjunction, junction. What's your function? You know what I'm saying? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Do 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 do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ooh, do, 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 do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't know nothing about that. That's the electric company. Big shout out to the electric company. And you know what I'm saying? You can tell I'm a public broadcasting station, baby. We didn't have computers, we had intelligence. They be like, verbs, da, 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 verbs. And I didn't know Schoolhouse Rock had so many rocks to it. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to check any of that out, go over to my YouTube page at OGKUSHMIL on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, go to my Facebook page at Michael, COATES, the one and only. You know what I'm saying? He's a bad mother. Shut your. And we keep going. You know what I mean? So we're going to go from the 1776 and 1789. We flipped up into 1859. So we're in 1889 and 1975 right here. So Dr. Arnold J. Toynbee, 1889 to 1975, was born in Great Britain. He attended Balliol College, Oxford. He was a delegate to the peace conference at Versailles in 1919. The Treaty of Versailles formally ended World War One. He was a professor at London University from 1919 to 1924. From 1925 to 1955, Dr. Toynbee was Director of Studies at the Royal Institute on International Affairs and the Research Professor of International History at the University of London in 1956. Queen Elizabeth named him a companion of honor. Dr. Toynbee's most known well work is comparatively study of civilization, entitled A Study of History. The first publication of this series in Dr. Toynbee's work was in 1939, as Fuhrer Adolf Hitler was making his way across Europe. It was completed in 1961, like Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. Dr. Toynbee's work is considered best of class in the study of history. Toynbee writes, the black races alone have not contributed positively into any civilizations yet. And in 19, like I said, in 1961, Dr. Toynbee wrote that the black races alone have not contributed positively to any civilization as yet. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. It's amazing what people can write, and scholars can say that they're scholars, and then that can admit and shape the perception of what it means to hold a race culturally, subconsciously, psychologically, and sociology in chains. It is done. It took hundreds of years, and it took thousands and thousands of people to keep us down to where we at. You know what I'm saying? And that's just, so we're gonna bring it back up. So Dr. David Charles Mills is talking to his wife. So on a beautiful hot summer day in July 2003, my wife Elisa and I left Nashville, Tennessee for Virginia and a niece's wedding. The wedding was in Virginia Beach, but my pursuit of an ancient quest summoned me to nearby Isle of Wight. And Isle of Wight is spelled Islewight, Virginia. My goal was to get a legal document that will reveal a mission as old as the pages of history, but as current as the morning paper. While our family was engaged in wedding rehearsals, we headed to Smithfield, Isle of Wight County, Virginia. And Isle of Wight is Isleofwight. I think I'm starting to understand where the term white people came from. We entered the courthouse and asked the clerk for the last will and testament of Mr. Thomas Smelly, who died in 1837. This man's will allegedly free my family from slavery. Reverend Dr. Jean B. Williams, better known as Aunt Jean, first told me about this document when she was president of the Smiley Pope family reunion many years ago. The will read, I do hereby emancipate and set free my Negro man, Jim. After copying the will, we visited the Isle of Wight Historical Society, where, fortunately, the Smelly Plantation was on a historical map and featured in the book. Historical notes on Isle of Wight County. After buying the map and book, we left in search of the world. We left in search of the word made flesh. The Smelly Plantation bordered Nansemond County and the James River. For an hour or so, we searched the roads for hundreds of years old. The roads were unmarked, and innocence and ignorance. Only paved roads crossed my mind. Elisa, familiar with plantation layouts, pointed to a road she thought led to the plantation, but we could not enter because on the bar or a high pass, with no desire to trespass or possibly risk our lives, we looked for people to talk with. Several miles away, we spoke with the man cutting grass. He had no idea what we were talking about, but sent us a few more miles to talk with a neighbor who had lived in the Isle of Wight much longer than he had. We pulled into the driveway and knocked on the door. A kind older gentleman led us into his home. As we shared the story, it appears as if this were strike two. The property changed hands many times over 200 years ago. As we told the story running through many names we heard earlier, a name rang true in his eyes sparked. You have come to the right place, he said. I farmed that land and have farmed it for many years. The grass road she pointed to is the right road. Go back there, park at the bar, and walk down the road a mile. So you will see two outbuildings on your left when you come into the clearing. Down to the right, you will see where the house sat. If anyone asks you questions, tell them I said you could walk to land. It is unbearably hot and humid in the Isle of Wight in July. We went to the back of the road. Elisa chose correctly. With me in a three-piece suit and Elisa in a high-heel sandals, dress, and no stockings, we walked down the dirt road. A few steps down the road, we began feeling an old wooden road beneath our feet. At this point, we could still see the pavement behind us. Then we walked through a tree-covered bog, a dank, sunken dip in the road that appeared to serve as a natural barrier of sorts. The oppressive heat, humidity, and midday darkness of this bog rattled my cage. An eerie feeling overcame me as I walked through it. My spirit was in transition as my hands fought off the insects that lived there. As we came up out of the bog, back into the hot midday sun, there sat two outbuildings. A little further on the right sat the fallen down remnants of Mr. Smelly's plantation's house. That had a huge mansion, just a two-story clapboard house that had fallen to the ground. Semi-paralyzed by a sense of stepping in the back in time, Elisa pointed to a row of trees leading to the entrance of the fields. We walked to the sweltering, blistering heat to the end of the road. We felt the soil where my ancestors were more things to be used than persons to be respected. We felt the soil where my ancestors were more things to be used than persons to be respected. On this flat, beautiful land surrounded by a gorgeous border of trees, my mind, eyes could see my ancestors. My spirit felt their presence. On this flat, beautiful land surrounded by a gorgeous border of trees, my mind's eye could see my ancestors. My spirit felt their presence. During my mental paralysis, Elisa talked of plantation life of relatives who had tried to escape. She also reminded me of her fear of dogs, and at that precise moment, we heard hounds baying in the distance. Seeing the bog plantation ruins and hearing the dogs, there was no way to avoid it. The only place they could look up with was hope. A flood of previous emotions came roaring back. My emotions ran from sadness to anger to hopelessness, then to despair. My feelings were so strong, so intense that hate, rage, and tears welled up in me. Words did not come out, but my anger and rage did. It took several days for my spirit to recover, at least regain a sense of being okay. The words summoned me to this landmark where my family members were enslaved, perhaps murdered, lived and died, hoped and dreamed, and they were finally set free. The issues that came up that they may never be fully restored, but they can be seen from another perspective. And like I said, today I got unholy. You know, it is what it is. What it ain't shall never be. You know, thank you for taking the time to allow me into your hearts, your minds, your soul, and to get an understanding of the psychology, the sociology, and the common everyday battles that I endure, being the strong black man that I am, being the target of purpose, being the reference, being I am him. My name is Michael Coach, y'all. And this has been a production of 1438 North Ninth, the podcast. Send a man some stars. You know what I'm saying? A man with a gold tone talking through a gold microphone with gold teeth, speaking his truth. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. What it ain't shall never be. I want to thank you for your time, effort, and energy. And keep making plans to move forward. I'm gonna start another episode this coming up Monday. It has been a wonderful Friday, and I have read to you from Unholy, the Slave's Bible, and I will be doing one tomorrow. So God bless you. Good night, and thank you for being with me on tonight. You know what I'm saying? This has been a 1438 North Ninth Street production, and I am Conversation or Big Mike by choice. I will see y'all tomorrow or probably Monday, but tomorrow I will. I'm doing a special addendum. It has been good. It has been great. Y'all sleep good.